Public finance.
Very good. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Number one, thank you for the opportunity to continue to work with the township, and I think we can talk about how I believe you want to move forward and tell you how we're going to move forward should you decide to move forward. Okay? I circulated what was probably about 2 weeks ago, I circulated a preliminary timetable to Kevin. I believe he shared that with the board, right? So you might have had an opportunity to review it. I'm going to hand one out again. I basically just bumped it up a week or two, knowing you want to talk about it tonight before we actually move forward. So for the most part, what you're going to see I'm going to hand out is almost the same, just everything bumped 2 weeks or so. So let me hand forward on this side. Down this way.
Thank you.
Quite good. Okay, so you want to, based upon our previous discussion, you want to move forward with, exploring and refinancing the 2015 note with the main objective of lowering your payment. We can talk about interest rates, but really I think the main focus is lower your payment from what it currently is or what it currently could continue to be. And we're going to propose to move forward in what we call a dual track meeting. We're going to immediately move forward with a bank loan RFP. That usually takes about 3 weeks to get proposals back. But at the same time, to keep moving and be ready to do a bond issue should the bank proposals come back not as favorable as what the bond market would provide for you. We want to be ready at that point in time. We don't want to waste, if you will, 3 weeks, and then start from scratch with getting the bond issue ready. So, schedule I put out here, I'll say it is tight, and the reason for that is, I think we all know, interest rates, there's certainly more pressure for rates to go up than they are to come down, and also moving into the holiday season, I think it would be really favorable if we could to get this financing completed prior to Thanksgiving. Moving past Thanksgiving, you get all into the other holidays such as deer season and Christmas, etc. So that's really the way I structured this, was to move as expeditiously as we can. So looking at this, certainly tonight we're going to present and review this refinancing plan and schedule. The second bullet there, we're going to want to determine a maximum fixed annual payment. We're going to come back to that, but I think that's one of the key discussion points once we agree on the schedule of what I want to get some feedback from the board on. Okay, I'm going to keep talking as if you tell us to move forward, so please don't think I'm being assumptive here.
Sorry, Darryl?
Yes.
I just want to state for the record that there is a potential third option, which would be if neither of option 1 or 2 are attractive, it would be do nothing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to be sure everybody's aware that that is a
Yes.
possibility.
Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't that
No,
clear,
that's
but
fine,
thank you for pointing that out.
I know that was a concern, so that is also a
Yes.
possibility.
Yes. Moving out of tonight, we would send out the request for proposals from banks, as early as Thursday, maybe even tomorrow if we can get it done. The second point, we'll begin to prepare a preliminary official statement. That's a very lengthy document. I actually have a very initial draft here, and I've already left with Kevin what is the township's, specifically the township's portion, which means some demographic information, financial history. By all means, I'll get it to everybody, but I thought for now maybe just get it in Kevin's hands. Because the township hasn't done bonds before, there is a good bit of financial history that needs to be gathered, such as collection data of your taxes, revenues, expenses, pension information, top 10 taxpayers. So he's going to have some work to do, and that's why I want to get it in his hands as quickly as possible. So we've actually already started that. And the reason for that official statement is that's, of course, what is the offering document for the bonds. We also use that to obtain the credit rating for the township. So hopefully as early as this Friday, we'll get actually the full preliminary official statement sent to to Kevin, as well as Tom, to begin their review and providing back information. We'll also send that official statement to the rating agency, likely Standard & Poor's, to sort of get on their clock, or because they have a 15-day requirement from the time they first receive information until they'll complete a rating. So the sooner we get it in their hands, the sooner that clock starts ticking. So we'll get that out by this Friday to sort of get our place in line with them.
I'm sorry to interrupt
Yes.
again. At what point do we incur a cost for getting the credit rating?
Excellent question. That'll come up down
Because-
here on October 22nd.
Okay, because I guess what I wanted to understand was, we wouldn't want to incur a cost for the rating if we decide to go with the bank.
Correct. Correct. Getting in line does not incur the cost.
So
They're
they're
not-
gonna sync up in a way that's gonna make.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So September 28th is Friday. We'll get it over to Standard & Poor's just to get in line, get in their queue. We're going to ask back on about October the 11th for the township to provide its information for the official statement. I think once Kevin gets through the information request, I'll probably want to check with him and make sure he believes that's obtainable, but certainly, hopefully it is. And that's going to be the real, the more meat of the financial history of the township. So we'll then quickly get that on October 15th, Monday, October the 15th. We'll get that additional information to the rating agencies. So then the bank proposals, I said they'll take about 3 weeks. We'll look to get the bank proposals in on October the 18th, a Thursday. When I get that, I'll pretty much be able to get a sense of if the bank loan is better or if the bond issue is better. So then about the week of October the 22nd is when, if we believe that a bond issue is more favorable, we would look to have the rating call with the rating agencies and receive the rating. And that's when the township would basically incur a cost. It's when we have the call with the rating agency and when they actually give us a rate. Actually, it's the phone call. It's not even, because you get the rating like 2 days later. So it's when we have that phone call. So we can be a little bit flexible there, or certainly we can call that off if we believe that the bond issue, that the bank loan is not more favorable.
But what would the cost be on that
It's about 15,000. It's about 15,000.
for the rate?
Yes.
Right.
And the way they work is that is the rating fee, and in their mind, once they do the work to have the call and issue the rating, they've incurred their time and expense and issue. I can't control what they do and their policies. So.
And what happens if the rating is not favorable enough? I mean, is there any way that you can kind of understand what that rating might be, given the financial packet that Kevin gives you? Would you be able to?
I can get a
Would you
sense.
be-
I mean, you're certainly going to be investment grade.
Okay.
I mean, I'm thinking a AA range,
Okay.
which is a good rating and
Okay.
would not impact the interest rate you get in the bond market.
Okay, but knowing what you know about us and looking at the financial information, you'll be able to say, hey, you're gonna get a decent rating.
Yes.
And if we looked at it and you said, oh my God, you tell us that too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Somewhere along the line, though, the township should have a rating done
Mm-hmm.
in the future, because sometime and somewhere, you're gonna need the rating again. And once you have it, you got your rating.
And you have to maintain it, but you're
Right,
right.
right.
You're right. At least
I
you
mean-
know you have a track. You start building a track record.
Yeah.
That was my next question, how long is that good for?
Well, the rating is good forever, but they'll do surveillance or analysis every year or every 2 years, and just
Make
like
sure you're maintaining it.
make sure you're maintaining your reserves. Hopefully your assessed valuation's stable or growing. So the rating stays with you. Could they change it up and down? Of course, based upon performance.
Our rating isn't based just on the sewer, it's a township.
Correct.
Rating, which.
The rating is actually more typically a function of the
Overall.
general fund
The overall.
and the overall financial position of the township, yes.
That's why I said in some time, we should have a rating done.
Question, Ryan Hill, 11 Ziegler Road. Is your speculation on the bond more favorable to the bank on a speculated bond rating of a AAA rating, or?
I'm sorry,
So if you're going to, without having the actual rating done,
yes.
what is, you're speculating that our
Rating is-
rate would be a AAA or whatever, or a AA, whatever you think it is, to make that more favorable versus the bank, is that how? Because if you don't have the rating, you really can't be exact on the bond issue.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're, so what
to have the rating gives me more information
gives you,
and a better
makes it
feeling
more
of what
exact.
rate the
But-
township's gonna get.
But prior to that, if we're not gonna call on that rating and exercise the rating, you're speculating on, you obviously have in mind where we kinda sit. Is that how you're going
Yes.
to make the bond favorable over the bank?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I then, looking ahead at the schedule, at your work session, I'm zeroing everything in to come back to your work session on October the 30th to review the bank proposals that we get, and basically have a discussion and decision whether or not to proceed with accepting of bank proposals or proceeding with the bond issue, or as you correctly pointed out, doing nothing.
Darryl, quick question for you. So, taking a look at this overall timetable, obviously the next work session, we're looking at potentially reviewing all this. In your experience, do you see this being possible, or is this timeline perhaps a little too expedited?
It's not too expedited.
Okay.
I certainly think it's doable.
Okay.
And, you know, I am working towards obviously hitting your work session. And then you're gonna see, actually, I'm gonna talk about potentially having a special meeting the week of November the 12th to again, maybe get this done and lock it in before Thanksgiving. Okay,
And-
so that's obviously it's gonna be a discussion for you as well.
Absolutely.
Is that a reasonable request or doable?
And is there another Fed meeting that you're aware of coming up in the near?
Tomorrow.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
So that will be past us, and I think that's
You're
sort of a
on
foregone
this, huh?
conclusion already.
Okay. So
And
you think they're
maybe,
gonna raise the
and
rate?
maybe even built in.
Yeah, okay. Which is another reason to move quickly.
Sure, sure. Yeah, at this point, I think we're pedaling as fast as we can.
Is a question?
Sherry Schweikert Road. Our current loan, have we finished the draw on that, and does that affect your timeline at all? Because I thought we hadn't taken the last disbursement yet there. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know that that makes a difference.
Okay. If it's a bank loan, obviously, but if,
You've not drawn the remainder of it yet, right?
No.
Okay. But under the current loan, that draw period's gonna expire on December 1st.
Correct.
Okay. So, under the do-nothing scenario, you're gonna be required to draw that down, and will then, obviously, you'll set that money aside and continue to use it for the project.
Yeah, I don't think the bank's gonna give us another year extension.
I don't think so. We worked pretty hard to get that the first time.
all right, so we don't think that affects the timeline here?
No, no.
Okay.
So was I clear on, I skipped ahead a little bit, but are we clear that once we get the proposals in, if we know that the bond issue is gonna be more favorable, when I say no, that's gonna be my thought. I won't have yet come to meet with you on October 30th, but I think it would be beneficial to, again, meet our timeline if we can get that rating the week of October 22nd, so I can come, when I come to the meeting on October 30th, I'm coming with, you know, almost as much information as I could have, and make the full recommendation as to moving forward with bond or not, or again, doing nothing.
Darryl, I apologize again.
Yeah.
When I look at review of bank proposals, obviously a bond issue is bond issue, but bank proposals being plural, how many proposals would you foresee us receiving?
I'd say from a couple of banks, you know,
Okay.
3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Because you have what I'll call a favorable loan right now, I'm gonna put that out pretty restrictively because it doesn't make sense to, you know, take in proposals that I absolutely know are not gonna be as favorable, under the do-nothing scenario. So, I'm gonna write that pretty stringently, obviously, in your favor. You know, if this was a new money financing, I wouldn't be doing that, because, you know, you'd be having, in that case, you must do a financing. Here, you know, we want a better proposal. Getting worse than what you have on the table
Right. Right.
doesn't make sense, so. So in this case, you know, one or two very good ones is better than 5, 6, or 7 not so good ones.
Sure.
Dan Orff, Kratz Road. Will the current loan provider be requested for a revised proposal as well?
Absolutely, we'll include
Yeah,
them.
I just didn't know
Yeah.
what the process was.
And I know in certain circumstances, you know, we might just call them up and ask for a rate. We don't have time for that, and we might as well know that they gotta sharpen their pencil. I mean, in the event that they came back as the most favorable, then we might end up just flipping it to an amendment, which would save costs, but, you know, if that happens, great. If it doesn't, you know, we're gonna move forward with either a new bank or with bond, or again, doing nothing.
Yeah, and just to follow up, so the whole purpose is, one of the driving factors is to reduce the, you stated it right in the beginning. It's not that the loan that we have right now is bad, you wanna explore for lower payment, lowering is the primary motivator. That's what you said in the beginning.
It's to
Yeah,
lock
okay,
in a
so
lower,
basically they
it's to
would
lock in a known lower payment.
Right, so that's, you know, okay, so that parameter would obviously be explained to a current, loan provider as well, okay.
To a loan provider, we're looking for a proposal. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't need to get into payments with them, it's, here's the way we're gonna borrow money, what's your interest rate, and I figure out what that payment turns into.
Okay, okay.
And that payment's either lower than a bond, or it's higher than a bond. And then it's, again, do nothing. I can't say it enough times for you.
Well, we just don't know.
Right.
We don't know where we'll be in a month, or where the markets will be in a month, so.
Correct.
That is a possibility,
This is-
that's our third option,
This is all about improving your position.
yeah. And we hope we'll do better, but
Right,
who knows?
right. I'm sorry?
Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are you in agreement and understand that after the proposals come in on October the 18th, if I believe based on those proposals that, and I'll certainly be speaking with Kevin, I'm not gonna do this in thin air, that we should move forward and get the rating, and understand that that's gonna incur that cost.
Well, does it depend on what the banks come back with? I
Yes.
mean, if a bank comes back with something that's like, wow, that's great.
Oh, then I'm gonna call it off.
Well-
I'm gonna call off the rating, yes.
But, so you'll do that, do we,
What?
I guess my question is, we don't have a meeting in that time frame. Do we, as a board, need to have a meeting sometime after the 18th and before, I guess, the 22nd?
You
Would that
certainly could.
I mean, would that,
I mean, the reason I am suggesting that we have the rating call the week of October 22nd is so that when I come to the meeting on October the 30th, I have all the information that's available to me.
I know, but I think
If-
for us to approve that amount of money, I think we have to meet. Don't we?
Well,
And I understand that's why yes,
Right, is that correct, Kevin? I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the other thing I'm thinking about too is if we have to do a debt consolidation with DCD, don't we have to do that and get that back in time?
you mean the DCD proceedings?
Right.
Yes, that happens between what they call the sale, or the time that you actually accept the proposal by ordinance and the closing. And I have that built in here between the week of November the 12th and December 17th for a closing. So that's when the DCD approval comes into play.
Okay. And they can
After
do that in a
you,
month?
after you have enacted an ordinance.
That'd be a feat to do it in a month.
No, that's about customary. It's a 20-day wait period.
Okay.
So it's usually about a month, 30 days from the time you enact an ordinance until we close.
Are you asking the board this evening to approve your incurrence of a rating fee if you determine that the bank proposals are not adequate?
Yeah, I think I am. In an effort to keep on this timeline, yes.
What can we,
When you say am I asking you to, that's how we make this timetable. Or certainly I can
so what would that look like? If Mr. Peck comes back and says the bank proposals are no good, the board approves incurring the rating fee? I mean,
No,
what would that
he's
look
not
like?
saying he's coming back, he's saying, right now.
Well, I don't mean coming back physically, but I
Yep.
mean with information.
I can come back with information after October the 18th. I mean, I can certainly email it to Kevin and.
But we don't meet it till the 30th, so what are you proposing?
He's saying
I guess
you
I'm-
you can approve it now if you'd like.
If it,
He would-
Contingent on certain circumstances.
if it's favorable.
Want
Right.
his analysis of whether the bank is not favorable, and if the bond would be more favorable. I think that's what he's saying.
And then you'd have to move forward, just keep moving forward.
Yes.
How far would it push our timeline back if we, let's say we met on the 19th, or early in the week of October 22nd? How would that push it back a week, or does that push it back a whole month? What are we looking at?
This board could meet during the day.
Okay.
Yeah, but what does that do to the timeline? Does
On
that push it
it-
back?
Would you have all the bank proposals back by the 18th?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so what if we got together the 19th? After you have them,
Sure.
okay? And then the 19th, we can make a decision to move forward.
That'll be
Would that
fine.
be okay? What do you think?
And that doesn't impact the
I'll be-
timeline,
No.
you think?
I'll be out of town.
Okay, then that
So-
won't work.
Well, no, it will work. I mean, either you can decide, someone can call me and tell me what's going on. Is it considered for me to be present if I'm on the phone?
Yes, we can do that.
Just call me in.
Okay.
And you can do an Uber conference call, create an Uber
Just call me in.
bogus line and dial in, and you can create a conference line, and you can.
We're in the
be-
21st century.
That's how it goes. On the
And,
conference.
you know, if
It's simple enough. I know what it's gonna be and.
If after I get those proposals on the 18th, you know, come Friday the 19th, I might be sending an email to Kevin that says, you know, this is a no-brainer. In that instance, I guess you could decide if you're gonna still convene or not, but
Right.
that's,
Well, let's set up a tentative meeting.
October
Yeah.
19th.
All right. And what's a good time for you, Marla?
I would say,
that's a Friday.
by 11 o'clock in the morning.
And call you at the 703 number?
Yeah, I mean, like 8:39, 9:30, 10, 10:30.
A little bit later
early
would be
morning.
better if possible. I'm getting proposals in I'll be getting proposals at about 11 o'clock on the 18th.
So you're suggesting afternoon?
8:30, 9 o'clock is fine with me. Friday morning.
Yeah, but he's saying he's unavailable in the morning. Is
You're
that
not
correct?
available.
No, I'm just
You can't-
saying, a
you're
little bit
supposed to
later,
get in
a
the
little bit later in the morning if possible. That way, if I
Just-
send an email out in the
Oh,
morning,
okay.
you know, you at least have
11:30?
a couple minutes to digest it.
11:30, I will
What's
not be
best for
available
you?
between
Tell me.
11:30 and like 1:30.
Go to 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock would be perfect.
I think they're talking Friday, right?
Yes.
Correct, all right.
Sorry about that.
Laying on the beach, talking about bank loans?